Afrofish OG. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Afro in the Know, episode 30 today. And which is, I'm getting to the point where I'm actually almost at where I'm at my own age. And I don't think I like that. So, but I'm also excited because one, it's a Tuesday. It's good. You guys are here on Tuesdays. It's a great day. And two, because I have my special guest today, all the way from the TikTok land, as I call it. Miss Megan over here. How you doing?
Hey, good. Glad to be here.
I appreciate you making time to be here. Because I'm not gonna lie, life is tough. So with all that, so
Yeah, especially during winter with all the sickness and children bringing home sickness. Yeah.
oh, exactly. I know exactly. I used to work with kids, and it was like you would just one get sick, and then it
Yeah.
just shoots
Having one is
every-
enough. I don't need more in my life.
I feel that July is when we have our first, and I'm just sitting here like, oh
Oh,
man, my life's
yeah.
over. Yeah, I'm excited though.
Oh, that's amazing. Next July. That's congrats.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. We do the testing, like the first ultrasound and stuff like that next week. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be good.
That's great. That's when
I'm
it really came to life for me. Yeah.
that's why like I know as soon as I took the day off so I could go with and go
Yeah.
see it. And as soon as I do, I know I'm gonna be sitting there being like, well, the days of solitude are over. But
Yep.
I want, for the people here who do not know much about you, I mean, they already know enough about me. They don't need to talk about me anymore. So, I'm gonna the floor is all yours. So, kind of just what you all about.
Okay. Yeah, I am a video game writer. I worked at Ubisoft for about 10 years. I was a games journalist before that. I lived in Sweden working at Massive, and then in Toronto working at the Toronto studio. I was the lead writer of The Division and Starling Battle for Atlas. And between the two, there's one that's my favorite. It's not the one anyone's played. But
Charlie?
yeah, I got to write the whole Star Fox section. I got to meet all the Star Fox actors, so I'm like, it
Oh my
was.
god, that'd
I,
have been so.
oh no, I was fanboying out. It was great.
I would have
Um,
too.
yeah, I got to fly to Seattle and meet the like most of them were the original guys.
Wow.
So that was fun. Because I had that game on 64 back in the day. So
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
absolutely.
And then I quit Ubisoft. I was contracting at People Can Fly for a little bit. And then now I'm a narrative consultant for just random indie games, just kind of uncredited stuff. Because it's much more flexible and pays better and less burnout. Like I got really burned out, so I
Oh, I
can't
can imagine.
I can't do the whole day thing anymore.
People can fly. Isn't that the ones who made like Boldstorm?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, good
Yeah.
job.
And yeah, I'm also right now. I'm actually writing a lit RPG. Um, yeah, so that's what I'm spending most of my time on. I already wrote the first book. My agent's shopping it out right now. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Okay,
trying to
so
move into the author
I was gonna
realm.
say, yeah,
Yeah,
that's got to be tough. So going from one to the other. But
yeah.
starting with, I want to know, like, obviously, like your time when it comes to like you said you started as a journalist.
Mhm.
And where did you was it like a smaller journalist like company? Was it like IGN? Was it like
I was an intern at Xbox Magazine.
yeah.
And this is back when like I'm much older than I look, so like there were actual magazines like, that we shipped out. I think I started just when like they were putting things like on the internet, like, and we still were experimenting with what needed to go on the internet and
Mm.
whatnot, and like our readers started to the majority of them started to read on the internet, which was confusing to us because we're like, but the magazine's so cool. It came with a demo disc. Come on,
Oh,
guys.
the demo discs.
Yeah. And then after that, I did freelance because it again it was more money, more flexibility. So
Right.
I got a lot of my income from game evaluations, which is like I would get an early copy of a game and play it, and then do like a long like 5 page essay essentially on like what I thought about the game. So it was like an early review, so they could decide what reviewers might give it. Um,
Oh, so they would like so they pick and choose like so they'll like let's say they'll give like 20 discs like that like early consoles and then they'll just pick and choose which ones to put in the magazine.
No, no, this was like way pre-embargo
Oh,
crap. Like this was internal. Like it was just for the company. So I would pretend to be a
oh,
reviewer, but like just for the company.
okay,
And then they would read it, and I would like can I swear on this?
yeah.
Okay, I would stir shit up a lot. And I didn't know until I became a dev, and then some people were like, "Oh my god, we read your thing. Oh my god, like you really messed up, like Kane and Lynch. Like we were freaking
Even
out about."
Lynch.
Yeah. That was the one I think I was the harshest on because I had to play it like 3 times in a row. Like they kept giving it back to me, and I was like, "It's not better." Um,
It's not better.
like, yeah. But yeah, I was also writing for like none of these exist anymore, but like One Up, Electronic Gaming Monthly, Games Radar, that still exists, right? Does it?
I think so.
Um, yeah, but all of those, and that was back in like the heyday of games journalism, and then I think I left like right about when Gamergate started, and
Mm.
a lot of my friends got caught up, but I was like, I'm out.
Oh no, I don't blame you. That was
Oh no, I managed to get out right before it.
ooh,
I'm glad
okay.
I didn't have to make any decisions or bold statements. I just
No,
yeah.
that's fair. Like and that you know this shit's so wild too because it's like the how Gamergate started because like I was what was that 2013 I think when it really kicked off I think like 2013 2014.
It might have been a bit earlier than that because I think
Okay.
um I started in games in 2010, and I think it was about the next year where like that email list came out maybe.
Oh yeah, I graduated in 2010 so like I think
Yeah,
I
somewhere around there.
yeah there was I don't remember like much about it at that time. It's like looking back at the stuff now from it, and
Yeah.
it's so fucking wild. But like, so from there, and like when you, so they just like they call pretty much call you up to like do the reviews then or now or like when you said like you're like a freelance.
Oh, I was on like a list. Like everybody had kind of a list, and then they uh yeah, when a game came out, they would just email me and say, "Yo, can uh you're on the list. Can you do this one?" Um yeah, that's pretty much it. It was really nice. Like once you get on the lists, then like I was playing like I would generally have about 3 games a week, if
Mhm.
that. But some of them would just be really nice Xbox live arcade games, and it would only take me a few hours, and then I would get like a 60-hour RPG that I had 3 days to play, and I'd like stay up, and then
Mhm.
and I feel like that sometimes that's why reviewers can be really harsh too, because it's like if I had to do 20 hours of grind to fight the final boss, I'm gonna be like I'm furious because I'm not getting any sleep, and I'm like duct taping the A button down and then getting a drink because I can't take it anymore. Um,
I don't blame you.
and then I
Like,
have to write the review right off the bat after that.
and so how long? Like, how when you write like one review, like how long is that review? Like,
It depends. For magazines, like a lot of time it was just like 300 words.
mhm.
Sometimes like it's very brief. I did actually like 150 word ones before. I also wrote on Game Shark. Those were longer, and sometimes I did
Game
like
Shark.
bigger features.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but generally, yeah, like 300 to 800 words. They weren't very long.
No, that's not. So when so then you went from the journalist part to like becoming the lead writer, right? Or the writers for like the division
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
right?
Not lead writer yet.
Well,
No,
not lead writer, yeah, but
junior
yeah, yeah,
writer.
yeah. Once you
Junior.
lead, right, wait, no, way up. So
Yeah.
and so I'm wondering like, so where was that shift from like, all right, like y'all are doing all right, but I got to step in and start writing shit. Like,
Yeah, I mean that was it. It's like you write about games so much that you think, God, there's got to be something I can do. I can't keep writing about games. I need
right,
to I need to be writing them. And the funny thing is that game writing again was a pretty, like, it's still a pretty new profession, honestly. And like when I was in high school, I thought being game writer would be pretty cool, but back then it was like Japanese JRPGs. There weren't like
right.
it was the mission designers, it was the game designers doing the dialogue. They didn't actually hire writers to do it.
Oh,
Um, not until later. And so the idea that it was a job was like, oh crap, okay, no, I got to be doing this. And so uh, I ended up I applied to a few different companies, and then I wrote on some forum post on LinkedIn or something saying how badly I wanted to be a game writer. And there was a woman from HR at Massive saying, "Are you willing to move to Sweden?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" So then I interviewed for that company, and I was just like, they only had like 3 people that they interviewed, and then I had to fly out for the interview and everything. I was so jet lagged.
I can
Um,
imagine. How
and they
far is
like
that? How
kept,
far is that?
um, it was like a 9 hour
Oof.
flight. Like I, yeah. Uh, but they, the Swedes are like very big on, beer and what. So after the interview, then they all wanted to take me out to like get to know me. And I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I'm dying. Yeah. I think my one of my coworkers there, whenever she told the story, it was like a big fish story. It was like it started off with like Megan was kind of tired, and then it's like, oh, Megan was dying, like she couldn't take it, and it was obvious to all of us she should just go home. Yeah, because it was like a because I ended up going out with them for a couple days. I was there for a few days before I went back, and then it worked out. Yeah.
That's awesome. So massive themselves. I don't know a whole lot of games that were
So Massive, their big claim to fame before they got bought by Ubisoft was World in Conflict,
okay.
the RTS, and then they got bought by Ubisoft, and that's where they did. We were co-developing on Far Cry 3. That's where I started, and
Hmm.
then they were the lead on the Division. They're still the lead on the Division. And yeah,
Oh wow. They're still the lead on the division. And I know like division, I mean, I have a couple friends who still play the division too.
yeah.
And that's been going on for when did the division first come out? When
I
was
don't
that?
remember.
I don't even remember. I just know like it's one of those games that's like always just like, oh, it's always just been around. Like it's I don't
Yeah,
remember a
yeah.
whole lot. It's kind of like it's like Fortnite. Someone asked me like when did Fortnite start? I'd be like, I don't know. Like
Well, it's
it's
funny because I mean that was one of our big goals is like that and Destiny around the same time. We're like, this is going to be
Mhm.
a 10-year long game. We're going to make a game people are going to be paying it for 10 years, and it didn't honestly seem like that would happen. But then, yeah, with Division Two, people, I mean, people love to go back to it, and they constantly update it, and it's a fun game.
Yeah. I haven't played it a whole lot. I know like I said, I got a friend of mine who lives pretty close by that he plays it like religiously.
Yeah.
So and so when they were like all right, they have you write for the division, were you nervous at all like at first, like when it came to like this is real, like I'm a writer now, like
um, I was on like as a junior on Far Cry only because it was like, who do I even talk to? Like, what if I wrote some dialogue? Now what do I do? Or I'm like one of the mission guys would change the level, but now my dialogue doesn't match. And I'm like, do I? I guess I'll just go down and talk to the mission guys. And it's like that was all really stressful at first. And I wasn't sure what I could ask for or demand, because it's like, yo, we already did all the recordings for these lines. You just switched it so the bridge is a road, but everybody's saying, hey, go across the bridge. Hey, can we switch it back to a bridge? And they're like, no. And I'm like,
Wow. Hmm.
well, I'm a junior. I've been here for only a year, so I guess no. And then it's just gonna say like that kind of stuff. And but it's a pretty you jump into the deep end pretty fast. Like I got I did a TikTok on it about um uh I don't know, you get caught content cut. I did a TikTok on one of my characters from one of my games getting cut. Um and the same kind of stuff happened on Far Cry. Like you you write lots of lines, things change, things you have to adapt. You have to learn how to adapt really quickly. And so by the time I got on the Division, it was like, I don't know, what is that, head to the grinder? Like I was already in it. You
Yeah.
don't there's no time to you don't really think about the impact or how many people are going to be looking at or reading it, or um we knew it was going to be a big game, uh but it was more like day to day. um can I talk to the modeler today about why this character is looking weird, or can I get my lines in time for the performance capture, or um that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, you're worried much more about the day-to-day stuff than and then somehow a game ends up made. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So like, how many writers were there at the same time?
On the Division,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't remember, because we had we were the main studio, but then we had like um the co-development studios as well. So I was managing um a couple of writers at Massive, but then there were a couple at Newcastle, and then we ended up with a couple. Um, was it in Raleigh, North Carolina? Honestly, I don't remember. It's been a while. Um, uh, yeah, so it was I don't know, 10 under around um, about that. I don't know.
But that's still a lot. Like, I mean, that many people, that many ideas.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and in most games, like with open worlds, especially, that you end up kind of divvying out the missions themselves. Like with Far Cry 5, for instance, it's like we had the Jacob region, so that's what our writers did, is the Jacob region. But then in Montreal, they were doing the other two regions, but they split it up where these writers are doing this region, these writers are doing these region, and then you have the head writer managing the whole thing. Um,
hmm.
and that makes it a lot easier.
Oh, I can imagine. Like,
Yeah.
just from like I said, like in my mind, I'm always trying to like imagine what would that would be like. So like you're just like a lot of conference calls, then I'm guessing. Just
A lot of calls. Yeah, yeah, a lot of calls. Because what ends up happening is you have a design. Like I would have a pitch document. Most of my job was pitching PowerPoint decks. Like I would say like 80% of my job was either creating story or explaining story rather than actually writing.
Hmm.
And so then you would ship that out to, I don't know, the guys at Newcastle, who were awesome, and um, they would send back like what kind of story beats they were going to do for their mission. You say that's great, and then you end up working, but things just slowly diverge, whether you mean to or not. And then you come back, and suddenly it's, oh no, that's severely out of tone, or oh no, I totally forgot to tell you we changed this, or and then you get to this point where we're like, okay, we have to come back. We have to come back to the original points. We have to and it doesn't happen too much, but you need to make sure you have we ended up having pretty infrequent calls at first, and then we started having almost like um daily checkups, just to make sure that everybody was on the same page and not yeah, diverging too much.
I can only
Yeah.
imagine.
No, so it was really hard. Like when I actually wrote the main cutscenes, the first draft, I and I did this for a lot of games after that too. Is I asked for time out of the office, and then I went. Sometimes they rented me an office somewhere else, and I
Oh,
went and worked by myself for a week straight doing a first draft, so that I didn't have to have any phone calls. I didn't have to do any meetings. I wasn't checking up on anybody. It was like the only way I could actually like sit down and write something cohesive.
I can only, that's got to be
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah, like I pretty much begged for that, and then they're like, "Okay, we can give you 4 days right here." I'm like,
Just
yeah, and in Sweden especially, there's some really nice like their office spaces are so cozy and like
really
yeah, and I mean, they're all about, fika there. So fika is
think.
you take breaks for coffee. Like it's like a smoke break, except you take breaks for coffee. It's
Oh,
fantastic. It's such everybody needs to be doing it. And so all these office spaces had like really nice coffee and pastries and like just really took care of you. It was yeah.
that's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the places I would love to just to go see.
Yeah.
But the fact that yeah, they were just right out there, and so after like that, you said you worked on like games like Starlink.
Yeah, that
Um,
after the division, I was pretty burned out from that experience. A lot of things I can't say, but
I assumed.
that were just tough. So I ended up leaving, and I didn't mean to work at Ubisoft again, but that's where I got a job. It's just in Toronto at Ubisoft,
All the
and
from sort of from Sweden to Toronto.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and I started on Far Cry 5. I did some Watchdog Legion stuff, and then I ended up lead writer again on Starlink. Yeah,
I love Far Cry 5. That was my first Far Cry.
yeah.
So that one was fun. That was really a really fun one. And like so when it came to Starlink, because I don't think a lot of people know about Starlink.
Mm-mm.
Like I remember it because of the
I got. Yeah, I have all of obviously I have all the toys. I have all the ships. I have all the. Actually, this is the much cooler one. Hold on, Star Fox, obviously. Yeah, the
No,
R wing.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I love Star Fox. I'm a big component of the Star Fox deserves his own movie train. And I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm gonna have to start a petition pretty soon. Like because I think the last podcast I had, or the one before that, I made a joke mentioning I'm like Nintendo has an amazing ability to have like multiple fantastic franchises and only use like two of them. And
Yeah,
so like, and
yeah, pretty
so
much. Yeah,
Star Fox is one where I don't know what to do with it, but like movie is great. But I'm interested about Starlink. I
yeah.
really because it's the one that nobody knows about, but it's like, oh, it's the one that's not about Star Fox, but it is about Star Fox.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing is it was obviously it was by itself for a bit, and then we did the deal with Nintendo, and we promised that we'd be able to integrate Star Fox directly into the story. And so for the Switch version, the opening cutscene then includes Star Fox, and um, the there was another writer who did that opening cutscene, and he did such a good job at integrating Star Fox into the story. And then I don't. So the idea is you have these toy ships. You don't actually have to use the toys, which I playing digitally. I never did, but as a kid, it's really fun. You have all these like little weapon modular like
Oh no, they look awesome.
it was really
Like
fun, yeah, and it's fun to collect them anyway. But then you slot a pilot into here, and so we had, uh, 12 I can't remember now, but, like, a lot of pilots. I think it was 12, and then with the addition of all the Star Fox characters, 16 or something like that. It was crazy amount, and, I, really overtasked myself because I made the dialogue really modular so that, you'd have the people who are like back at the like home base, they would talk to you, and then the pilot would talk back, which was not the initial idea. The initial idea was sometimes the pilot would talk back, but I'm like, the pilot's always going to talk back, which meant that I needed to write a different line for each pilot each time they're talking, but have the conversation flow correctly.
Ooh.
Anyway, and so it was a few, I think we ended up with like 800 lines per pilot. I don't remember. But there was more than that. I don't remember. But and not to like that doesn't include the barks that's like, oh no, I'm getting hurt over here, that kind of thing. It's more like the actual story.
Right.
So when we put the Star Fox characters in, it was so much fun to be like, what would Slippy say here? Like, and then when you're playing it, it really feels like you're playing yeah, like if you're playing a Star Fox, it feels like you're playing a Star Fox game because he's the one talking back to the team the entire time. And
cool.
it and you can see Star Fox in the corner the whole time, and he and then as soon as we the DLC was the one that included Falco, Slippy, and Peppy, and they have their own missions at that point. And again, we integrated it so that like the missions happen at different times in the story, so it really felt like their story was happening at the same time.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then like a big fight with Wolf at the end.
I mean, it has to. You have to have Star Wolf at some point. Like,
and it was just so much fun in writing their dialogue. I brought in all the original. Oh my god, like Leon. The oh my god, now I'm totally forgetting. I'm blanking. But the three henchmen. And each one of them kind of already has a rivalry with all the individual Star Fox characters. So I made each mission. You can play it as any character you want, but it's like you get special dialogue if you play it like as Slippy's character or as, you know, Falco's character, like
that's
during
cool.
these missions. I think you have to start the mission as those characters, but then you can switch out if you want. But no, it was so much fun. And writing that kind of dialogue is just like, that's my jam, is like, because it felt like a puzzle. It's like, how do you get a character that's really excited, like Slippy, to, you know, who's like, yeah, let's do this at the same time, and then you have to rewrite the line for Falco, who's like, yeah, if you say so, you know, but and then doing it with like 16 different personalities. Yeah, it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Well, that's the thing that was interesting, because like to me that's what's interesting about it is like it's a game that originally was not going to feature the Star Fox or anybody, was it? And then so now it's like, okay, well now I have to combine two completely different worlds.
It worked really well. I mean, when I heard we were going to fully integrate it, I thought, that's insane. And but it worked. It worked so well. And the Nintendo guys, I thought for sure when I sent back the script, they were going to be like, you've done this all wrong. They had one point of feedback, which is one single line where they thought that Slippy wouldn't say that.
Was it yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker?
I honestly don't remember. It was I don't remember. But it was, I mean, it was the script at that point. I think it's like when we printed it out, it was like that thick. And so to get like one thing of feedback, we're like, oh my god, okay, we could just say whatever we want. That because I was having like dramatic lines about like Peppy feeling guilty about the death of Star Fox's dad and like all this kind of stuff that I thought like there's no way they're gonna be okay with like half of, but they yeah, it was really fun.
That's crazy.
Because I also wanted to make it really, you know, emotional and poignant, and try to do some of the narrative that I felt like is lacking in Star Fox games.
That's fair. It's like Star Fox has
Yeah.
a whole ass story that just does not get told, and it's a lot more in depth than people realize.
Yeah. I mean, and it's tragic. Like the you know what happened to you know, Star Fox's dad, you know, being part of this team that ends up betraying him, and it's a, you know, it's a big,
because Peppy was part of his team,
part of his original team, yeah. But then yeah, he was betrayed by Starwolf and his group, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was really
Like
cool. Yeah, it was
it's
fun.
like, oh my god, like I sit here and I'm like, Nintendo, you have all the makings of the dopest ass, not by Illumination, a show that you could fucking
Yeah.
had. Like, I just don't want to see Star Fox in Illumination style animation. I just don't think it would look good personally. I think it would look a little odd. But it just is just like
Yeah.
I need that story. And I think Star Fox needs that story told. I
Yeah, Star
mean,
Fox is awesome.
I
I mean,
need
he's
it
such
in
a
like,
fun character.
yeah, he is really like I need it in like the Demon Slayer animation. Okay, like I need the most over the top, like
Oh, anime. Okay, yeah.
yes, I'd watch a full anime of Star Fox.
Yeah.
Like I can't even say no. So I'm interested in, okay, so after like between the time in Ubisoft and the writing, what made you go to the lit RPG? Because that's a completely different slick.
Yeah. The thing is that when you're writing games, and this is like, I didn't understand exactly what the job of a video game writer was when I joined. I think a lot of people don't. That you are your job is to write the vision of the people who are above you. The creative director, and even the creative director is still beholden to the CCOs, the CEOs, who are
Right.
still even beholden to just marketing and reality and trends. And so nobody gets to make the game that they wish they could. And the writer almost like least of all. Like the whatever I wrote was just in service of either the gameplay or the ever changing vision of the people who are above me. And I felt like even when I wrote something that I thought was really like this monologue right here is like, this is touching, this should make you cry. And the problem is that a video game is not usually conducive to that kind of uh it doesn't provoke that kind of emotion, because you're like, give me the controller, I want to shoot people. And so trying to get people to like stop and watch your cutscene, unless you're doing a game like Naughty Dog where the entire environment is in service to that.
Mm.
If you're playing an open world game like The Division and you're like, look, I just want to sell my loot, man. I'm not here to like cry. Or like when you're playing Starlink and I'm doing this big dramatic thing, it's during a fight when you're shooting lasers and you're trying to figure out how to like not blow up your ship. And it's like, I'm barely listening. And it's like, and if you miss some dialogue, I don't know, watch it on YouTube. Like it's too late now. And
Right.
so uh, getting to write really good stuff, it was far and few in between. And then when I did, almost nobody heard it or talked about it or cared about it. Uh, and now and then you'll get someone who's like, "Oh man, I loved that audio log," and it's like, "Oh cool, I'm glad I reached one person."
Right.
And uh, for me personally, so I suffer from major depressive disorder. I have my whole life, and I have always wanted to write something that uh, is not about that, but but talks about it, or is able to uh, have a character that is like that, without just being a caricature, and to I don't know, talk about to, to be able to illustrate trauma and perseverance and all the things that I think um, go with that
Right.
illness. And you can't you don't get to write what you want. And so yeah, I decided I wanted to write a book. And I I did not quit to write a lit RPG, but I started getting into lit RPGs. I read have you read Cradle? It's like a progression fantasy. It's
Mm-mm.
like a 12 books a year, really good. But a lot of people, they read Cradle and then they end up I got into Dungeon Crawler Carl.
I have so many people have been telling me about Dungeon Crawler
Yes,
Carl.
this was back when I was reading on Royal Road, like before it was published. Yeah, I'm one of those people who's gonna say I knew them before they were famous, but no, he was still really big at that point, in the community at least,
Mhm.
and I loved that one. Lit RPGs come with certain tropes that I like, which is the stakes are very high. It's generally some really traumatic crap happens, and I felt at least within the books that I'd read that people everyone was really cool. All the main characters were just like super OP, super powerful. They get to cheat. They're the best in the world. Like even the gods fear them. Like within like I don't know 2 chapters, the gods were like, "Oh wow, look at this guy," and I was like, I want to write one where it's like and I think so many people who read RPGs are like, I want to write one, and so as soon as I was reading this, I'm like, I want to write one with a girl who's like a woman who uh is a complete freaking mess, barely knows how to get out of bed, doesn't hasn't like fed herself like anything but hot pockets for like the last 2 years,
Dang.
and then there's like um a system apocalypse is a type of lit RPG where the world is transformed into a game system, and usually there are lots of monsters. Everybody, it's chaotic and apocalyptic.
I mean, yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's pretty
yeah,
standard.
and then to see how a woman like that might survive it, rather than somebody who's OP and super masterful. And I just loved that idea so much, and I started writing it in my head, and then I'm like, I gotta do this. And I figured out that from my own experience too, that it was very difficult to self motivate, even if there are monsters outside your window that you need to power up and kill. Uh,
That's fair.
yeah, but so I put somebody in her life, a 13-year-old girl that ends up needing her. And so she becomes this accidental guardian to a 13-year-old who is much more put together than she is, it turns out, but still needs an adult an adult in her life, which means that of course this character has to become more of an adult than she has been. Um,
That's fair.
and together they manage to um, kind of hold each other together, um, and keep each other from falling apart too much as they fight monsters and try to get through the apocalypse.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So,
Uh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, you said that she's so like. Is there like? I'm just asking. Is there
Yeah.
like mystical hot pockets? Like, there's like, like hot pocket perk system. Like,
No, no. But it's a kind of a traditional, like, so a lot of people who do lit RPGs too, end up they love their systems and they do some
Mhm.
really cool intriguing systems. But I had just come off of reading Dungeon Crawler Carl, which is more of a standard D&D system. And that's I although I've done a lot of game design and a lot of narrative design as part of my job, I just wanted to start writing, honestly, so I didn't think of it too hard, and I started doing just a more traditional D&D system. So uh, the kind of stats that are in D&D, the abilities I make up, but they're very tangential to the stuff that you'd be able to do in D&D. The classes as well, like
Okay.
I made up the classes, but they're still like rogue based, mage based,
Mhm.
fighter based, that kind of thing. Um, and uh,
That sounds pretty dope.
yeah.
Because, like, I mean, to be honest, like, I think when it comes to like, especially with like D&D based and any kind of like fantasy, whatever, there's always it always feel like it's such an open. It's so open, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I'm working on something of myself for myself. It's a modern fantasy featuring like some of my favorite type of monsters, which are mimics.
Oh, yeah.
I
Mimics are
love
awesome. Yeah.
I love mimics, and I love mimics, and I'm like, so like there's 4 mimics, and one of them has taken the role of a human after they got transferred to this world um, by this guy. His name was Qualton, and he was known as the mimic spellblade, and they were his weapons and his armor. and he lived, he learned, he taught them how to speak, he taught them how to read, how to actually communicate, how to survive. And because I had developed this whole world called the White Spore Forest, which is a forest of purely mimics. The trees are mimics, the rocks are
It's
mimics. Like,
horrifying.
yeah, it's absolutely horrifying. But he lived there, and so
Yeah.
and he was the type of person, if children were lost, he would bring them there and he would keep them safe. And it was fun because they moved them to this new almost like a modern world, and they're trying to live in this, and they have no clue what they are doing.
Yeah.
And so
That's like
they're
a
like,
reverse Portal fantasy almost.
yeah, like it's fun because only one of them can transform, because he knows he was actually taught magic itself.
Mm.
And the other ones are like, one of them is a couch, is the couch, and the other one is the bed, and the other one is the table, because he drew the short end of the stick, so he's actually the TV stand. And so they live in this
Oh, that sounds
studio
fun.
apartment, and it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really fun. And so it's been fun to work on. I think fantasy is one of the coolest parts.
I mean, the cool thing about fantasy is anything can happen. And it's one of the reasons I almost cannot read not fantasy, because I already know all the things that are possible in
Mhm.
life. So if there's nothing supernatural or no magic, I'm like, what? Oh no, he's gonna get cancer, like, and then go to a doctor. Like, I don't
Damn,
want to
that's
read that
cool.
crap.
Like, yeah, right.
Like, yeah.
Like, it's like, I know,
Yeah.
and that's true though. Like, fantasy does allow you to do literally whatever. It's like, oh, one day it's like I opened up a spell book, and now I can freeze people by touching them, and it's like, why? Because.
Yeah.
And
Well, and personally, like, I like exploring. So, my main character Helen, one of her abilities is to shadow step, which is, essentially teleporting
Hmm.
into people's shadow, and into it, she does it behind people. So that's she can teleport behind people.
Hmm.
And the first time she teleports, she almost throws up because it's or like it'd be such a disorienting, you know. Um, she also gets like daggers the first time she like has to stab somebody. It's like the the ease of it is horrifying to her, but then she's also really excited that she managed to do it, but also like, oh my god, I never encountered for this much blood, like. And I just love diving deep into fantasy and using all the tropes, but then talking about what it would actually be like.
Right.
um and my book is like, there's a lot of levity in it because I I have a hard time not being like acerbic and witty. Like, I have to.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. And absurd. I love the absurd contrast between something horribly traumatic and just your especially in a fantasy world where it's like the traumatic thing can be like, I don't know, a giant like in one of the things, a giant otter, like it's a giant 7-foot otter almost kills them, which is like completely absurd, but also traumatic, but also absurd. And
Right.
like, and you're just like, what?
Not the otter.
Yeah. Well, it's some sort of Irish folklore, and it's an actual Irish folklore legend.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like,
But
I'm thinking of like PB&J Otter, and you just like offed them. Like, I'm like, why would you do
no,
that?
it's a horrifying like beast, but it's also like, yeah, they're all like, this can't be my life. It can't
That's
end here. Um,
yeah. I mean, I'm
so
not losing to an otter. Like, that's not.
yeah,
I can't.
exactly.
I can't die at
Um,
level 1. Like,
exactly. Yeah. So that's it's fun.
it's
I have.
interesting that you mentioned that too. Like, the one thing that you mentioned about the ease of like your character like having to actually kill someone for the first time, and it brought me back to Tomb Raider, the
Mhm.
2013. And there's a line in there that it's always stuck with me, like that, where Laura has to kill someone, and she talks to, I believe it's Roth, and he makes a comment about like, it was easy, and she's like, it's terrifying how easy it was. And it is, it's always, that's something that I don't think always gets put into stories.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch like I'm a big anime fan myself, but like the one thing is like when you're watching characters just murking others with like no remorse
Yeah.
whatsoever. It's like, well, my
Yeah.
friends were in danger, and I'm like, so you just shut off the empathy mode, right? Okay, like,
Like I don't want every anime and every video game and every fantasy to do it, but like
mm-mm.
so maybe a little mention or something. But then the funny thing about the Lara Croft one, and people mentioned this in my Ludo Narrative Dissonance video too, is that like it's really cool that that happens, but I think within about 20 minutes, she's sniping,
Oh yeah, that
dozens, and she feels a little sad about it, but it's like, because what were you supposed to do? Like have her debilitated by her emotions for the entire game, and it's that would be such a difficult. I think Brianna Pratchett was the script editor for that. Um, it's such a difficult line to draw when you want it to be emotional and realistic, but when you get down to it, it's also just a game.
yeah,
Uh,
no, exactly.
and I think she did, like, I think they did a great job uh, putting some realism into that game and emotion into that game. But then um, I remember myself being a little jarred where I'm like, now
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah. She's like
running and
I
gunning.
think she tells them to stop, and then they don't, and she's like, okay, and then just proceeds to just straight up like John Wick them both,
Yeah,
and then just keeps on moving. I'm like, oh damn, okay,
yeah,
like, and that
yeah.
and that's actually is that difficult too? Like, kind of going from that, like you mentioned the dialogue when like you're flying around and you're having this kind of a moment in between them. Determining the part between like let's say a cutscene and like the dialogue in the cutscene versus like a dialogue when the player is interactively playing.
Mhm.
Is that tough to kind of write out, or is that
I
I'm
mean, the
just
big thing is that with a cutscene, you can do a lot without dialogue.
mm,
The blocking, the facial animation, the uh, you can have people do actions. They can slam down their fist rather than say, "No, I'm angry." Like
yeah,
whatever.
no, true.
You know, and when you're doing gameplay writing, it's like you're doing a radio play,
Okay,
except without any sound effects. Like
right,
you're just writing straight up dialogue,
okay,
and so you end up limited in that capacity already. And you can't have, say, if you're like in the middle of a fight, for instance, the person who's in the middle of the fight is going to be hyped up. They're going to, they can't have, uh, they can't have a moment of reflection. They can't talk quietly. They won't talk quietly.
right.
They'll end up being kind of short and punctuated in what they're saying because they can
Mhm.
only get so many things across as they're like trying to fire. Um,
Yeah,
and uh, and I know I've played some games where they try to write a scene that does not match what the person's doing, and it's like, unfortunately, if you're writing an action, that that person doesn't have time to
no,
talk and
yeah,
reflect.
if
And that was difficult. Like, I mean, spoiler for anyone who hasn't played Starlink or is going to. But the one of the mentor character dies, and about halfway through the game, I can't remember. Um, and after that, you're back down on the planet or in space fighting and saying like, "Whoa, watch out!" Like, and it's just, we have some characters that are pretty funny, and it's like, well, how do we reflect on this person who brought them all together dying at the same time as I gotta go fight some stuff,
right, yeah,
um, and so we do have like we try as much as we could. We tried to have some gameplay scenes shortly after that that at least are like, look, we're all upset. We all have to, we all have to process this, but right now we have a job to do, kind of, blah blah blah. Um, and so I have people with be like a little shorter with one another and a little like just angrier, but then they kind of get buckled down and get the job done.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just you can't have a character who decides, like, you can't have one of the pilots who's like, no man, I need to sit down. Like, you can't, like, I need to drink, I need to,
You guys are good, fam. Like,
yeah. And that's tough, because again, you don't get the kind of writing that you wish you could have.
that's
Um,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's understandable, and
The
it
best you
also
can do
leads.
is make it not jarring.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah. Like
and I
that's
felt like we did a good job with that, but we're not. That's that's what you can do. Yeah, is make it so that gamers don't go like, ugh.
And then I also know that you had your a bit of a mini series of like why game writing sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was going through that, and I was wondering about like that because I was like, what are some like from a game writer's perspective, and like obviously playing other games, what are some like pet peeves that you have when you do see it?
Oh. I, being a writer ruins so much. It's difficult for me, like, books, TV, video games. There are just so many times where, like, even my husband's just like, "Oh, that was fun," and I'm like, "That line could have been, mm-mm, no." See, they had to have learned something before they went to the class. They just did the same thing and it worked. Like, you can't do that. Like, you can't, like, so I'll come in with like why the story beat wasn't. Um, but yeah, video games. Let's see. I um One of my biggest pet peeves, and I guess this goes with any medium, is when a every character has the same mannerisms or the same colloquialisms.
Okay.
A lot of writers don't write their characters differently than one another, and they will try to hide it by giving somebody a southern accent and somebody a Russian accent, and then they're like, "See, now you can tell the difference between all my characters." Um, and that pisses me off. Where I'm like, you just gave like, for some reason, really amateur writers write Southern people, and they have people say "ain't" a lot because they're like, oh, they should talk like informally. So they're like, I ain't doing that, and I'm like,
Like
why is he
that.
saying that? Why is he saying, like, I? So that one really pisses me off because I'm like, that's so amateur. Like,
Feels like a
like,
carbon, yeah, it feels like a carbon copy
yeah.
syndrome. Like,
Or another one is when people go too formal, which is another thing that writers do, where they're like, um everyone, we need to move quickly. And I'm like, you want to
yeah,
say
nobody says that.
quickly? You
Nobody
wouldn't say
nobody
that.
says that.
Like, or like, but I had a writer, a brilliant writer, but he had a PhD in creative writing, and so his writing was spectacular, but overly verbose and overly formal. And at one point, I'm like, look, you gotta use gotta. I don't want to say I
Mm.
have to. We have to do that. No, you say we gotta move. We gotta move quick. And he's like, that's so grammatically incorrect. It's we have to move quickly. I'm like, no, no, you don't. Like,
No, it is, yeah, it's
like
like you just gotta you
you gotta
gotta
say,
you
yeah,
gotta move
and
quickly.
say wanna say, like, I need you to cut, half
I
the
ain't doing that shit. Like, there's like, and that's so
yeah.
true though, because I think for a lot of because I consider myself like an amateur writer myself, and so I think that is something that I do think a lot of I've seen even my own self that a lot of writers do, where they want to sometimes they want to make the character sound smart, so they just talk in a way that it's just like it doesn't feel like a natural. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel natural. I
If
should
I
say.
use big words, that
Yeah,
means
it's like it's like when they randomly using like photosynthesis at one point, and you're like, oh damn,
yeah.
I don't think you know what that means. Like,
Yeah.
but
I think
that's cool.
another one, actually, oh, okay, my biggest pet peeve is people who don't know how to write comedy. So, w- and if you don't know how to write comedy, either learn or don't, because one, one, one thing
Put
that
up or
people
shut
do,
up. Like,
well, because the number one thing people will do if they don't know how to write comedy is write one character that is annoying and talks too much and says dumb
Mm.
things, and everyone rolls their eyes and tells them to shut up. That's the that like that's the standard is like now I'm trying to think of it. Um uh
I
if
feel like
you've read Cradle, like Dross is a character like that,
I
but
feel like I've seen a lot of
yeah,
anime has a tendency to pull that where there's one
yes.
character who is he's supposed to be the funny guy.
Yeah. And the thing is that if your characters are rolling their eyes and saying, "Oh my god, this guy," that's exactly what everybody else is doing. So stop. Like, don't that's not funny. None of us are laughing. We're all rolling our eyes and saying, "I wish this guy was actually funny." Um and that is my biggest pet peeve. I get so angry about those characters.
That's
Um yeah, like Ghost, I think from Destiny, the Ghost he does that a lot. Um, they're just characters who just you just want to tell them to shut up, and then the writer's like, I did my job. It's funny that everyone wants them to shut up. I'm like,
no. Well,
no,
unless they're because there's one character at the top of my head that's specifically like that,
yeah.
and that's Claptrap.
I was thinking Claptrap, although Claptrap goes back around to kind of being funny sometimes.
Oh yeah, he goes
But
back to being funny in a way that you're like okay.
yeah, but
Like,
that's like I was just have you seen the TV show Final Space?
no, I haven't.
Olin Rogers. There's a character named Kevin who's played by Fred Armisen, and again, he could have just been the worst, and they do call him the worst repeatedly. But Fred Armisen is such a comedic genius that it works. But again, it's like you can have a character like that if they're legitimately funny. But
Right. Oh, and that's like I use Borderlands a lot because that's probably one of my favorite franchises
yeah,
ever. And I've always felt that for the most part, the humor has always been on point. That there's one thing that they are good with.
yes,
It's
I I often say, I mean, Borderlands has some of the best writing. Anthony Birch, writing Borderlands 2, did such a fantastic job. And uh, it's funny when I talk about games that have good writing, and everyone's like, "Oh, I don't know, the Walking Dead Telltale game." I'm like,
Last of Us, RDR2.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "No, no, Borderlands does a fantastic job because and I've said this in my videos too, is like I am always more impressed by that a game like Last of Us or like a Telltale game, they were given everything to write a great game, to write something amazing. And if you fail at that, then you have failed writing.
Right.
But a game like an open world game, or a game like Borderlands, where your characters have to service the gameplay and you have to figure out where to put the writing. Um,
Mhm.
the idea that they made Handsome Jack such a visible character um, as a antagonist, that's very difficult to do in a video game because generally you meet the antagonist, you fight the antagonist, and
Right.
then and nobody likes the forced failure crap.
No.
So to make him such a visible character that you love to hate, uh, and he like that was brilliant. It was brilliant, and all the characters are so well written, and in such contrast to having a tiny trash talking girl, and the mechanic guy, the mechanic woman is fantastic. Like I um yeah, I think a lot of people when they think of good writing, they think of did it have the story, like did it have profound plot points, and that is part of it. And yeah, maybe Borderlands 2 didn't have any like um huge plot moments. You are just trying to like find vaults
Yeah.
like that, yeah. But I think the dialogue writing and moment to moment, um the scene construction, those are things that people don't appreciate as much as they should.
No, that's fair. I mean, that's all because I know like so three is actually my favorite. Uh, three. as much as I like 2 and I love Handsome Jack, I love 3. The gameplay for 3 was
Yeah.
phenomenal. The going to different worlds, and it's funny because I played 4, I enjoyed 4, but I have more issue for like less of like the actual like less of the writing aspect of it and more of just the gameplay itself. Because I feel like I don't know, for some reason, like I feel like worlds can be too big. Maybe I'm just
Mm.
getting to a point where I'm like I'm not satisfied with just a huge go everywhere thing anymore.
No, dude, like worlds can be too big, and especially when they're diluted. Um,
Yeah,
if you're trying to make more content rather than quality content. Um,
'cause
and if I'm spending
that's
too much time traveling and too much time collecting, I don't know, whatever icon is on the map, it's like that. Yeah, I'm not a
yeah,
big
and that's how
fan
I
of that.
felt with 4 is
Yeah.
like it's more of a gameplay thing. But 3 I was always interested in because 3 I came around originally because Troy and Tyrene, right? Troy and Tyrene, Calypso, and I first when I first played it, I was like, I do not like these, do not like them at all. And then the more that I came around to them, I think I was expecting him to be another Handsome Jack, and I was like, I can't expect that. I think
Yeah.
they work very well for what their role is. Of course, they're not one of my favorite ones because I literally had the goat literally like one game ago,
Yeah.
and so I didn't think they were going to live up to what the expectations were that I had, but they're still a serviceable. They did a good job for
Mm.
that. And it's funny because I do see a lot of players who I don't think they really know writing. So they're like, the dialogue is garbage, and then so you ask them like, "Hey, where is it garbage?" And then they're like, "Well, it's just trash." And you're like, "Oh, well, damn, I can't argue with that."
Dude,
Like,
like the number like the drowning critter effect is no more prominent than in anything than in writing. Is that everybody is like, I've read stuff, I've watched stuff, I could write. and, and the thing is that if a there's so many people who are like, this TV show, I don't even know why it was made. And it's like, I mean, that's true. There are TV shows. I wonder why they're made. But if you make a comprehensive TV show, if by the end of the episode, you're like, that was an episode, and you can tell there was a story and you know what happened and the scenes went from one to another without you just going, what? Then the writer did a good job. They didn't do a maybe a fantastic job, but they did a good job. And the thing is, like, anybody who sits down to try to write a script or a book
it's fucking hard.
will finally realize, like, oh, I can't make anything coherent. like, I, I like, I wrote. I've been a writer my entire life, and the first time I've tried to write a book many a time, and I'll be like, this is some solid writing, like the prose, but but nobody's going to be interested in what even this is because I'm not even like I'm not making my point correctly here, and like people are just going to read this chapter and be like, what even happened though? like
Right.
nice wordplay, but like who are these
And I
people?
Yeah,
like,
and I
it's
think
just it's very difficult. Yeah,
there's got to be hard because it's like there's a technical aspect, and then there's like almost like an emotional aspect you're trying to pull from them as
yeah.
well.
There are
And
so many aspects to writing. And like when I first started and I thought, I do pretty good realistic dialogue and I kind of understand story, then, I'm a writer. and I didn't even understand scene construction until uh well, I guess it was the division where I was like, oh crap, I don't actually because I didn't start in filmmaking or screenplay writing. I started in journalism, and so I could craft a good sentence, but um, and state things how they are, but uh, I didn't understand the rhythm of a scene, and I had to suddenly go take a bunch of screenwriting classes and realize that there's a lot of stuff I was doing naturally, but the problem is uh, I could understand things naturally, but then if a scene wasn't working, I couldn't go back and fix it because I didn't know what wasn't working.
Mhm.
And once you finally master every um like what needs to happen in a scene, like what the beats are, what the rhythm is, what what formula goes into it. It's like then you can finally then you can see why something's not working. And it's
Right.
like that's when I was finally able to like level up my game with every aspect, is like being able to look at something and be like, why are people not feeling what they're feeling? Why is this character not working? Why is this flow not happening? But they're
Mm.
just there's so many, so many. And the funny thing is, like, so with video games, I got good at character development. I got good at character at dialogue. I think I did pretty well because with how much I was pitching, being able to describe a scene concisely, and uh, uh, and entertain. You have to internally entertain people, or they get bored of your documents. Um, and but the one thing, plot is very difficult for me because plot is usually serviced by the gameplay. Like,
Oh, true.
I have this mission. They need to get to the top of the parking garage. They need to find this. I need an unpredictable moment here. And otherwise, I need to do an assault here, a wave defense here. They need to blow up this here. And then your plot is developed through those beats. When writing a book and suddenly no one's telling you where it is and what needs to happen, like trying to form a story, I'm like, but the world's my oyster. Like, I suddenly, my palette's too big and I don't know.
That's
Um,
fair. When you put
yeah.
it all like it's kind of interesting. I don't know the way that you described it to me. Described it kind of like a roguelike almost, because it's like I have to go here and then go here and then go here. Okay, I need something to happen here. Boss fight here, and then like keep on
Yeah,
moving.
and that's one of the reasons I started doing the lit RPG, because I'm like, if they need to level up and get abilities and they need to fight this one monster and they need to do this one quest, it's going to be a lot easier for me to figure out what needs to happen next, when what needs to happen next is they're level 9 and the boss is level 10, so they're going to have to get some grinding done. Like, and then, create like an emotional reasoning for it, create stakes and everything around it. But like limiting my palette was part of what made me want to pick that genre,
That's fair.
because I'm not used to working, being able to do whatever I want. It's not normal.
Well, and that has like, and that not only is probably like super fun, but the other question I guess I have too is, so when you're doing like when you're working with like either whether it's the game or like the lit RPG or something, and you're at a point where like I have to kill off a character. Like how do you go through? Do you have to like brace yourself to be like, fuck man, I got to really have to write this. Like there's no fucking way past. Or like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I was like, because when I feel like when it's like game writing, let's say you have to kill off a character in the game, it's is it your decision or is it just like the higher ups being like, hey, we need something to happen here, so I guess we'll just go off Tony. So
I mean, it can be there could be a few reasons why you're killing off a character in a game. Like we in Starlink, when we killed off St. Grand, we simply knew, and it's a trope, the mentor has to die.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's always a big one.
you have to let the idea is the main character is learning slowly how to be a leader, but of course he's never going to be able to be a leader until the leader itself is gone. And we needed that time where this ragtag team is at a loss and doesn't know who to listen to and doesn't know what to do, and then they need to be able to rally together behind this one person who finally finds his voice. And so it's like we
Right.
knew that was a plot point more than like a character death, if that makes sense. Like we knew that um that was the story we were telling. That character was going to go, which was sad because I really liked the actor. um, like, he was so cool.
As long as the mentor's not Pepe, then I'm fine. Like, because if it's
Yeah.
Pepe, I'm like,
No. And we've also I've heard one of my coworkers had to kill off a character because the CEO thought the uh, actor was rude. And so like
wow.
they kept like texting during sessions and stuff, and so they're like, that character's gonna have to go. Like, and
That's
and
some that's some
that
school shit. Like,
well, and that's it, when you have to get rid of a character like that when you even don't think it's deserved. And it wasn't anticipated, which can sometimes be some of the best character deaths. Like, have you read Red Rising by Pierce
I've heard
Brown?
of it. I've heard of it.
Uh, read it. I mean, just everybody needs to read it. The beginning is super cliche and hammy, and so people start reading it and they read the first couple chapters and they're like, "Is this a young adult novel? This is stupid." But if you keep reading it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but
Red
that
Rising.
um, similar to Expanse, I think they did this in Expanse too. Is that they essentially just rolled a die to see who might die in a battle. Um, and now and then he had to kill off characters he really, really, really did not want to kill off. And I think those, when you have to write a death that it's like you had plans for them, like they weren't at the height of they didn't finish their arc, like, but that's some of the best death is like, you know, when a character finishes their arc, you're like, oh no, they're gonna die, like obviously. But like if they're like just started out, like I mean, half of the Game of Thrones characters, it's like you you're like, this is. I think that must be difficult um, to write. I've only had to. I mean, in my little PG, I do kill one character that was and it was funny because I wasn't actually sure that's the character that I was gonna. I knew somebody had to die, but I didn't. I had a couple of options, uh, and it wasn't until the battle itself that I decided.
Hmm.
And in retrospect, the other character could have never died. That wouldn't have worked out. Everybody would have been mad. Like, but that was yeah, it's hard. And it's funny too. Um, when you write something really emotional and then you yourself get sad and then you're like, this will work for when I'm writing the scene, but like now I'm like taking it out in the world. And I'm like, I'm sad because this character I made up died. Like how egotistical of me. Like nobody knows who he is, but I'm torn. I did such a good job writing it that I'm
It's like I think of like the what is it, Mass Effect 3, when the kid from Mass Effect 3, when the Reaper takes him out, and like Shepard has that moment, and I'm
yeah,
like, man, they had to like off a kid, and like that's wild.
yeah.
Like that kind of stuff always. I don't know. That was like one of those things where I'm like, it's
I
off limits.
can't ever since having my daughter, I can't write uh, a kid's death or a parent's death. And I can't watch anything with it. I can't like I will turn something off that I liked mid scene. Like I can't do it. I can't do it. Which really limits me too. But because people love using um, you know, a child death as a motivator. Like I wanted to I really liked the movie The Descent and I wanted to rewatch it. I started rewatching. I'm like, nope, can't
Mm.
do that. Like the first scene, a kid dies. I'm
I
like,
mean, I
I can
mean,
watch all the horrific things in the cave. I can watch them all get mutilated one by one. That's fine. But like the kid in the beginning, I can't do it.
no, that's too much.
Mm,
Like, no, and
no.
that's fair. Like, it's. I mean, obviously, I haven't experienced that yet,
Yeah.
but I think there's probably a lot of people that probably have that, where just like there's like some off limit moments.
There yeah, you have some like author hangups that are kind of funny. Um then again, with writing video games, it's like you're not allowed to have feelings. Like you have to do whatever they tell you.
Which
Um,
is yeah,
well,
that
it
would
is
suck.
interesting because like it's impossible not to love what you're developing and what you're writing, and you have to love it. You have to have a passion for it. At the same time as you have to be able to throw away anything at a moment's notice, which is generally why the burnout is real.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But one of my other questions I have,
Yeah.
since is I'm sure you've seen a lot. I want to know a couple of your favorite and least favorite tropes when it comes to writing.
Uh, sorry, favorite
Like
what?
tropes.
Tropes. Okay. Um, honestly, I think any trope can be done well. Um, like I used to love enemies to lovers until romantasy became the next hot thing.
That is a section I will not be a part of.
Yeah, so now, well, and the number of, like, I have a video on this too, because it was really pissing me off. The number of times I'm looking up a fantasy book, I think this looks like a really good fantasy book. I start reading it, and a line hits me. I'm like, this is a romance, isn't it? This is a romance. It did not say it was romance. And I'm like, I gotta go. And the thing I can't stand about the enemies to lovers trope nowadays is that they're never enemies to begin with. That person's not a real enemy. They're like, oh no, this person's mean, or they don't like me. It's like, oh, he's like the devil of hell, but like, and he's trapped me, but like, oh, he's so nice. And it's like, he's not an enemy. Like, I have to believe this person is an enemy. I have to wonder when we're going to get rid of him because of how much I hate him before you transform them into a lover, or I'm not. That's not an enemy to lover. Mm, that's a kinky asshole to to like, and they always treat the protagonist so well from the beginning anyway. They're like, oh, this is like the king elf of the woods who kills everybody except for me. Do you think he likes me? Like,
It's like, you ever
I
seen those
can't take it.
you ever seen the there's a woman on TikTok that does like, it's like women writing men characters, or like men writing women characters. And
I've
she's like,
probably seen it.
it's so funny because she's like, her name was like Cinnamon
Yeah.
or Spectral or something, and his name was Dagger Blade, and like, I have no clue why.
Yeah.
It is a weird, it's a weird, the enemies to lover thing is, I mean, you have to commit to the enemy, like you,
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
the
and that's the
weirdest
thing. It's
part.
like I used to like that trope because I've been a huge anime fan since I was young, and like Vegeta, uh, not
Mm.
he didn't become a love. Well, I guess he did for Bulma, but like, uh, but Vegeta turning was like, this is the coolest thing in the world, that a villain would like suddenly join the good guy team, and he was still a villain. He was still awful, but like that he would join the good guy team was like mind blowing to like young me. And I was riveted, and I was like, any enemy like that, that was my jam. I loved that trope of an enemy, especially the like almost chaotic evil um that joins the main character crew, and you're always on edge wondering if they're in it. You know they're in it for themselves, but you're like, so long as we're all toward the same goal, it should be okay. Like, I loved that in anime, and then yeah, and then it's completely gotten ruined by complete trash romantasy book talk crap, and I can't take it anymore. And so many tropes I think have gotten ruined by that, because people write it as the trope, and I already know, if you know that it's the trope to begin with, then like,
Right.
I already know what's going to happen. It's completely predictable. There are no surprises. I'm not enamored. Um, I'm not intrigued. If I mean, you can just open a book and point at a trope, so you might as well just have ChatGPT write it, which they probably do.
Probably, yeah. Like, and that's a fucking thing too. The use of AI when it comes to writing, because I've seen people use it more and more.
Yeah.
Um, which I can't say much because I've used it myself, not for my writing, but to keep tabs.
Yeah. No, I
On
mean,
shit.
like, AI can be really good for, um, like, I mean, I use it a lot just in my day to day life. Like, I my freaking humidifier broke, and I couldn't figure out what in the world was going on. I tried to look it up in different ways, but finally I was like, ChatGPT, and I took a picture. I'm like, what's up? And it like led me through how to take apart the whole thing and figure it out. And that's is very helpful. And I find sometimes when I'm writing, I'm like, look, I actually have a really good example. So I my book two of my lit RPG that I'm writing now takes place in a small fishing town in Portugal. Um, and I wanted, a festival that would only take place in this small town in it's called Sines, in Portugal, and back in like I think it's the 1700s,
Uh,
because they region hop when they're during the apocalypse. It's part of the anyway. They And I'd looked up a bunch of information, but like trying to find specific information on this small fishing town in like what it would be like in the 1700s. Like what is the like is a castle floor made of dirt or is it made of stone? Like that's kind of stuff that's really difficult to sometimes nail down. And so I was like, I want to find this festival. And I was like, I need the patron saint of Sines and a festival around it. And it said, well, the Saint Torpus. And it gave me a bunch of different traditional things they would have done during that festival, and I was like, that's fantastic. So I decided to I always double research, and I looked it up. And this is after like a pretty long conversation. I was like, this, I'm sold on this. This is great. Saint Torpus is not so much the patron saint of Sines so much as it is a cafe.
oh,
And I'm like, you just wholesale made shit up. So like that's not helpful. But it did give me some ideas on like what a festival could be, and that I managed to find the patron saint myself. And you know,
that's
but
fair.
being able to
That's
like,
fair.
hey, what flowers are indigenous to this area? You know, uh, a door, what kind of hinges does it use? You know, like those are things you can sometimes look up, but you know, AI will aggregate that information, which is nice.
Yeah.
But as for like plot points or writing at all, any of your prose, like anyone who writes it for pro, like that's I think RF Kuang, who I guess is suddenly controversial. I don't know. The woman who wrote Babel, Yellowface,
Hmm.
she just wrote Catabasis. I think that's what it's called. Um, she had this thing where she says the thing is that when you're writing, you're essentially putting your feelings out into the world and saying, "I feel this. Do you feel this too?" That's what writing is. Do you feel the same way I feel? So when you use AI, you're saying, I've heard the world feels this way. Like you're not connecting. You're not doing that human connection that you're supposed to be
No.
doing. And it's something like we talked about AI in video games a lot because everyone's like, "Oh, the dream is that, you know," and I get it. Like if you're talking to a character and they can talk back to you in real time, that would be freaking sweet. Um, but they were like, "Can we use AI to like modularly make missions?" And I'm like, the thing is that if you make a good mission, that mission has an emotional impact and it tells you a story that that a writer handcrafted and has something to say to you. I I wrote it so that you'd feel something. And if you're doing modular AI that it doesn't have a point when it comes up with everything, maybe
True.
you can interpret a point or to do some kind of point, but I you know, and I might be just an old person, but like I feel that people can tell if that point was handcrafted and meant to speak to you versus aggregated from other people's words and feelings and uh,
Agreed.
served to you on a store shelf.
Oh
Like
yeah. Like
it becomes, and the more people use AI, the more AI feeds off AI, and the next thing you know, it's just AI writing to AI, and like nobody's involved, no humans are
no.
involved, and it's like
And
it's
that's like, I mean, I look at certain, I think of certain missions top of my head, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 when Soap gets killed. I don't, AI couldn't have wrote that.
yeah.
You know, I
That's
don't
the
think
one, but
it.
like it's like by a Ferris wheel, aren't you? Like it's like some
Oh yeah, there, and I don't remember exactly the. I just remember like the scene of it. I can't remember
yeah.
much of it, but I remember like
I
he's laying
remember
on
the
the
mission
table and he's
leading up to
trying to.
it, and
Yeah, he's like screaming, trying to help because you find out that was it Roach? I think it was,
yeah.
or the one of the dudes was working for Makarov at the time, or he knew Makarov.
That was like the last Call of Duty I played that I
Modern Warfare
loved.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Black Ops 2 was the one that like really got me. But like, I don't think AI can can get those kind of moments. The feeling of Atlas telling you to go to go to see Andrew Ryan and go kill him. That moment was so hard. Was like that was intense. It was an intense fucking scene,
Yeah.
and I don't think AI can do
Yeah.
that.
And also, even if I knew is AI, like, so, like, Mass Effect, I loved Garrus. I loved Garrus. I loved
I love
the
Garrus.
romance with Garrus. Like, I was just like, I just loved Garrus. And if if somebody was like, haha, AI wrote that, I if it turned out that it worked for me, I would I would feel betrayed and like I'm like that wasn't a romance that I had then. That was just like a I don't know what that was.
You played me.
It was a freaking GPS that I just fell in love with. I'm freaking like, um, fun story though. Brandon Keener is the voice actor of Garrus, and the thing that I felt like I did the best on the Division was make sure to cast him as the AI that talks in your head.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, I
That's
gotta hear.
awesome.
I got to choose whether you get to listen to Garrus the whole time you're playing, and I'm like, yeah,
That's aw see, that's
you're welcome,
awesome.
girls.
He's in Avowed as well,
Yeah,
and because that was one of the highlights is, he was, like, one of
yeah.
the kinda selling points is like, "Oh, yeah," they're like, "The voice
Oh,
of
that's right.
Garrus is in Avowed," and
It's
I'm like,
also
"Okay."
why I named Aaron Keener. I just liked the last name Keener when I came up with the rogue agent.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But I was just like I really like Brandon Keener. That was a problem sometimes is I've been like because I love anime and stuff too, is that I um would fangirl over some of our voice actors, and you can't like Steve Bloom, Dante Basco. They auditioned for the Division just as like, you know, soldier
Background.
number 1,
Yeah.
whatever, and I was just like, I gotta I'm saving these on my private file. Like, I gotta
You
um,
you have to is like, Steve
yeah.
Blum's voice is made for, like, every soldier possible. It's just
I was watching Star Wars Rebels with my daughter,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
so funny because every time Steve Blue came on, and I'm just like, oh no, get him! He's like, he's an Imperial agent because like that's all he plays.
I struggle to find like in my brain his voice is Wolverine. No matter what his voice is Wolverine.
Well, that
And
I thought of Rebels. I'm like, man, you can tell who Steve Bloom is. Every time he comes up, it's like, oh, that's obviously Steve Bloom. Oh, that's obviously Steve. Like, what are these Imperial agents clones? I did not realize that Zeb, the Beast character, was Steve Bloom, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
at
Like,
one
he's so much more
point
versatile.
I never realized that Orochimaru was Steve Bloom. And I had to sit there and I'm like, okay, no, 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 I can hear it. No, there it is. It's still there. Like, because
Yeah.
he's Zabuza in part one. And then I believe he's the Tsuchikage, Anoki, I believe, in Shippuden.
Okay.
And when I listen to them, and it's like there's little bits where you're just like, oh yeah, that's definitely him. Like,
Yeah.
but I loved him the most as Tank Dempsey from the Nazi zombie games, and
I haven't.
he was the American,
Okay.
and of course he was like because he like and he would always like this. His voice just works. It just
Yeah.
works for like any kind of
Yeah.
character.
You know, that is something I think that's one of the biggest parts I miss about because as a narrative consultant, I don't do the voice acting, like I don't go to the voice rooms anymore.
Mhm.
And I loved going to the voice rooms and listening to the actors. Like you would think you crafted a line well, and it was like you just wrote music and hadn't heard it before. They breathed life into it in a way that would shock you and surprise, so long as you had a good voice actor. Sometimes we had really bad voice actors, and I'd be like, "Oh no, you're ruining my script." But generally, for the most part, we had really, really good voice actors. And when they did, I would just be like, I would giggle with delight. I would just like, I would be in the booth, just like, I'm like, don't look at me, like I'm turning red with like how like I can't believe this is happening.
So I'm guessing when the
Yeah.
cast, when the you said when the voice actors for Star Fox came through, that must have just been like the epitome. Like the day
Yeah.
doesn't get any better than this. Like this is life.
And like I was so Star Trek. I didn't get a selfie or anything with them because I'm an idiot. Like,
Oh,
but like I also wasn't using social media at all like back then. But like I'm just like, oh, I should have had him record like, hey, this is Star Fox. Leave a message at Megan's machine. Something I could have done something, and instead I was just like, I can't believe I'm meeting them. Um, and the guy like the actor for Star Fox, he was so chill. Um, he's just so sweet. He's one of the like he can't believe, you know, still that his character is that big of a character and is just like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet people that love Star Fox. I love him too." And I'm like, "This."
because it's still him that does for like Smash Bros and stuff like that, isn't it? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought so.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
some of the original cast isn't there. Like Slippy is different. Uh, but and I think Peppy changed once as well.
mm,
Um, but Star Fox and Falco plays Leon, I think, if I remember. Oh, I can't remember now. But all of those have been the same.
Leon, like Leon Kennedy.
No. Like
Oh,
Leon, the evil lizard guy from
oh, I
Star
was
Fox.
just like, whoa,
No,
like I
no,
was.
no. No, it's not like it's like the Mario guy who also plays the dragon in Skyrim.
What?
Mario, the
Yeah,
voice of Mario
yeah.
also
Like
plays the Parthenox. Is that his name?
Parthenites,
Yeah,
Parthenites.
the bat. Yeah, he's a very versatile actor.
I did not know that. That's
Yeah,
wild.
isn't that crazy?
It is
I love when
crazy.
people play like such wide range of characters. Yeah,
Just wait till the Skyrim movie where it's replaced by Chris Pratt. Like,
yeah, yeah. But I
uh,
had the guy who played he played like the devil in or like a devil, I guess, in Supernatural. I never saw Supernatural. He played his name is Julian. He's got like he plays kind of evil characters a lot of the time. Sweetest man in the world. And we had him play the villain in Starlink, and he like ate that script. I was like, what a fantastic actor. He's like an old school Shakespearean actor. And
ooh, that'd been
hearing him
fun.
do those lines, I'm like, I don't know what percent of the gamers got to the final battle. Probably very few, but I'm like, you are doing yourself a disservice if you're not going to listen to Grax. Like, freaking eat these lines. It's
That's
fantastic.
awesome. I'm gonna have to go and play that now. Like, I'm gonna have to go find a Starlink
It's
and
funny
just.
because it's harder than it should be, which I think is like part of. I mean, it failed because like we didn't advertise it at all. It had really good reviews, but did no marketing for it. Um,
Why didn't they?
company thought Toys to Life was dead, so they didn't.
So if you think if it wasn't Toys to Life, you think it would have been more successful?
Yeah, yeah. Um, which is sad because
That is sad.
yeah, and I think a lot of people didn't realize they're like, I don't want to have to get all the toys. It's like you really don't have to, and they're like, there was a kind of a miscommunication where a lot of people thought, oh, I have to buy all the weapons in order to get everything in the game. You don't. You can complete the game 100% without. I mean, except for leveling up some of the. But we if you have to use a certain weapon that you don't have, we leave
Mhm.
canisters in the area with that weapon's power so that you can just do it without.
Oh,
Um,
well,
yeah, and you only need one pilot. You know, you can't level up all the pilots obviously if you don't have all the pilots. So I guess not 100% completion, but you can beat the game and you can find all the things. You can do all the quests. And I think a lot of people, the problem is that Toys to Life didn't do that normally. And I don't think we did a very good job of saying like, look, the toys are just fun. You don't you don't even need to play. You can do it digitally. You don't even need to
right.
like exchange them. Like you know, whenever I played on the Switch. I have all the toys, but I didn't use them. Like the toys are fun for kids, but like, and we didn't do a good job saying like it's not just for kids. I think we try to market it across the board too,
Mhm.
but it's like kind of too hard for kids. And then like
Right.
has toys for I don't know. It's
Like,
such a good game, though.
yeah, unless you're like a collector, like you're
Yeah.
not gonna.
And
That sucks.
yeah, and I was really excited too because like The Division, very few people talked about the story or the dialogue, um, just in reviews. That wasn't the main thing. They're like, "Oh, I love the loot. I love the extraction. I love the dead zone. I
Right.
love that." They didn't be like, "Oh, and then Jessica Candle was such a great character." Like nobody said that. Um, but with Starlink, it was so cool to hear a lot of people would talk about how good the story was and the characters and stuff. And it's like it just it was just such a charming, fun experience. And it's rough that it didn't get the love that it should have.
No, it always bums me out when games don't. Um, because we see that more and more now, especially with the way that press works and the way that attention works. I mean,
Yeah.
you get like just lately that the video game awards were, and the game High Guard was announced, and people were already shit talking it immediately afterwards. And I'm like, yo, give the game a chance to at least stand on its own, like especially if it's free.
Yeah. When people say like my biggest pet peeve is when people are like, "Oh, the developers were lazy." I don't I don't
Mm.
care what you they were working 60 hours a week trying to get that game out. They're not lazy.
I was like, go tell them that. Like, go tell them that they're just like you, just being lazy. I've talked to I've had other developers on here,
Yeah.
and that's a question that I asked them. It's kind of one of those staple questions about the whole developers are lazy, because I think that's smart for from their point of view. The point is to always kind of bridge the gap between the gamers and developers for who wants to listen. Um, but I think, yeah, when you just tell them that, like, oh, they're just lazy, or
Yeah.
like I said before, like where it comes to like, well, the writing sucks, and they don't ever point anything further because they don't actually
Yeah.
know how to
Well, I think
point
part of the
something.
problem is, especially with AAA games, is that we're not transparent. And we suck at communication. It's always through three layers of marketing and two layers of lawyers before anybody manages to speak. And you're trained to talk like a politician, so you say the points that you're supposed to, you use the words you're supposed to, and you can't talk realistically about development. Like I was on a game where we there's a core feature that we wanted to put in the game, and everybody was hoping that it would be in the game, and we ended up not being able to put it in the game because the engine that we were using was a little the amount of other stuff we wanted to put in it did not allow for this core feature as well. And it was just realities of the engine. And when gamers asked why isn't this core feature in the game, they made us say that it was a creative choice. And I'm like, why? Why did they make us say it's a creative choice? The answer is we couldn't. We physically couldn't. We tried. We really wanted to, and we tried, and we couldn't. And instead, everyone's just like, well, that was a dumb decision. And you guys suck. And it's like, why did we have to pretend it was intentional? And it's this kind of stuff like that.
It and
Like
it
I'm,
seems like
yeah,
it's to take the heat off themselves,
yeah,
like because it puts the heat on the people who, at the end of the day, are not making those decisions.
yeah,
They're the ones who are following it by their decisions, and then they take the brunt work for it. Because I'm always the type to go back. I go on bat 100% when it comes to like the transparency between them. I think there needs to be more transparency,
yeah,
like for pretty much every game. There's a reason. I even took it as far as sports games, and I'm like, yo, you guys got to start telling, like, why do these games have this very similar feel? Why does it feel
yeah,
like this? You shouldn't be finding out because people are data mining your game, and they're finding out that, oh, this is the same shit from like I believe it was Madden 21, and people were like going through it and stuff, and they were finding logos from Madden 19. It wasn't they were not
uh,
even making new stuff. They were just literally
damn.
just porting it. And
Well,
at
it's like,
that point, I'm
yeah. I just learned. So my my sister's been replaying the old Zeldas, and she just got to Majora's Mask, and she's like, Majora's Mask is like hilariously disjointed, and it's using assets from like Ocarina of Time, but then like just calling them different character. Like they're not even
Mhm.
acknowledging it. Like, and it's just like were people even talking to each other when they made this game? This was ridiculous. And I remember playing that, back in the day too, and thinking the same thing. I ended up not finishing it. And it only came out later that they had a year to make that game on a shoestring budget, and they had to use assets they have pretty much had to grab assets from everything they had, and not make anything new and do the best they could. And it's like, the thing is that, especially as a reviewer, it's like I would forgive a game if I knew they only did a year on it. Like, I would
Right.
be like, oh damn, then never mind, good job. Like, once, like, I was a reviewer before I knew any of the realities of game development, and some of the stuff I said was complete dumbassery, because I'd be like, oh man, when you're playing Left 4 Dead split screen, and there's this 4-player split screen, it really slows down when there are too many zombies on screen. Well, duh. Like, like, and it was between that or not doing split screen, and they wanted to do couch co-op. Like, wasn't that a good sacrifice? But no, I'm a dumb reviewer saying, like, I don't like that it lags. It's like, but had I known, had they, it'd just be nice. It'd be nice if people were allowed to be more honest
Oh
and
yeah,
transparent.
I agree. I think, I mean, obviously not putting it on y'all, and actually saying, hey, this is the reason why we're doing so much. The transparency would be great. It would be, of course, there's going to be gamers who are like, I don't care. Okay, cool. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. I don't give a shit at that point. But I do. I feel bad because when it's like something flops and nobody really knows why. I mean, one of the biggest ones that a game that did never deserve to flop was Anthem. I will
Yeah.
go to bat for Anthem. That game is actually pretty fun, but it was you know hammered by
Yeah.
about more. It seemed like a lot more corporate oversight between microtransactions. It was very unbalanced, and not really given a chance to really come back and show what it could really truly be.
Yeah. Did you play X Defiant at all?
No, I didn't. I didn't get a chance to play X
I
Defiant.
loved it. Like, and this is, yeah, I would not, I wasn't working for Ubisoft when X Defiant came out. I still loved X Defiant. I thought it was so much fun, and all the different characters, all the different scenes. It was fun to, like, play within the IPs of all these different like, beloved franchises. And then that game just got thrown away, and undeservedly. And it's just, yeah.
So my question is, because you've been out for, this is one, that's one of the last questions. When you've been out for
Sure.
Ubisoft for a bit, and so when you kind of look at them, like from like now, from like when you were to the time till now, do you see a difference in them?
Um the so the funny thing is, like, when I started working at Ubisoft, what I thought of Ubisoft was like, I'd played Assassin's Creed 2, that storytelling at CO. I mean, amazing. Like, I was excited to work for a game that a company that cared so much about narrative, in games that did not need to be narrative driven. Um, During my time there, there's a change in a lot of AAA studios, not just Ubisoft, but a lot of AAA studios, where they suddenly, uh, budgets have been ballooning. It's
Mhm.
crazy amount. You're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on this. You're spending 7, 9 years in development, which, again, you're not a lot. You can pretend it was 3 or something, but, like, it's secretly, like, lots and lots of years in development. A lot of thrown away stuff, and then they're seeing these really cheap Chinese games uh, make bank, um, and stuff like Fortnite. Fortnite really blew everyone's mind, that you could have a game that's essentially just the same thing over and over, and so long as you just kind of do live updates, and people loved it. People did playing it on their phones in between classes, like, it just, like, everyone, uh, and it was like, how can you make a game that is cheaper and endlessly playable? And once a studio starts chasing trends instead of making them, uh, it I mean, it loses its value
Mhm.
because there's already a Fortnite, there's already an Epic Games, and while you may be able to make a clone, it won't be like you can't make the next League of Legends, you can't make the next World of Warcraft. I don't think because those games are already they are what they are. Like you can make something that's your own and something that's like a new kind of MOBA or a new kind of um, MMO, but you can't just try to do what somebody else did and has been working on for the last 20 years.
Right.
Um, you can't make the next GTA. They've already spent billions. Like you're not
Right.
going to
No,
do it.
exactly.
Like it's too late. That's cut it. Like so make your own new thing. And it is sad, especially like since they've left Ubisoft. Like obviously, and I can say this without NDA because it's all public stuff. Is their stocks have plummeted. They just sold off a bunch of their stuff to Tencent. Um, it's I still believe in the studios and I still believe in the people working there because it's a such massive talent, and you can tell what massive talent it has because they left and made Expedition 33.
Right.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
that was dudes from Paris who were just like, I'm fed up, and like, and then they just make something amazing. Like,
Such a great
and
game.
I wish that the people up top believed in the people they hired to make amazing stuff, uh, and um, and also made something that was more focused, uh, a tighter scope, and just uh, tried to develop what they first thought of rather than freak out 3 years later and try to do something else and then it ends up becoming some monstrosity. Like,
Yeah.
believe in yourself, believe in your visions, and do something new and cool. I mean, like the talent's all there. Um, it's just, yeah, it's sad. And the game industry is something that I thought it's a pretty stable job to have, um, or at least it was. Whereas now it's like I mean, like all things are a bit tumultuous right now. Um, yeah, I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So I guess the last question here, as always, and actually I got two, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Yeah.
One of them is kind of like the always the ending question,
Mhm.
but this one is always I've been asking this one a lot. What does gaming mean to you?
Uh, what do you mean?
Just in general, like it means definitely different. I've noticed for everybody else,
Okay.
but
To me, gaming has always been an escape. Uh, Sometimes a distraction. Uh, you know, when I'm feeling my worst, it's nice to it's one of the reasons I kind of like acting and role playing and stuff too. Is just you become someone else and do something else. And sometimes you end up getting addicted into some dopamine loop or something that had nothing to do with your like beautiful escapist dream anyway, but like it still works,
that's
and
fair.
but yeah, it's and you know, my husband and I play a lot and it's really cool to be like, we don't get to go out much since we have a little girl just turned 5. It's kind
Mm.
of it's winter, it's cold, everyone's sick, but every night we get to like pick up a sword and a bow and like go out on adventures. And I that's what gaming is for me. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And last question I always have
Yeah.
is, where can they find you? And you said you're working on your second book.
Yeah.
So where can they find the first book?
Okay, so the first book, it's called So When Am I a Hero? It is a lit RPG that the first draft is available on royalroad.com. You don't need a username. You can just go read it, although I will get a view if you have a username. Uh, it is the first draft, though. I have edited it, and it's with my agent, who is now working to get it published. So it will be in published form. Who God knows when, and I'll have more advertised then. The second book, my first draft, I started putting on Royal Road. I ended up getting very sick, so I had to put it on hold, and I've been doing TikTok stuff in the meantime. But yeah, so but you can at least I didn't edit it too much. You can read first draft on Royal Road.
Sounds
It's
good.
it's 150,000 words.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah.
Like it, but no, I'm gonna definitely be checking that one out too. I've been looking for more stuff to read. I realized at one point I was like, dude, I am terrible at reading. I need to
Yeah.
get better.
Well,
So
if it's I destroy the world and pitch a toddler off the cliff in the first chapter. So
dope. I mean, not dope, but dope.
apparently that's what gets a lot of people reading. She
Like,
did
damn,
not.
how do you do that? Like, I gotta follow along. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Yeah, and
no.
then yeah, I'm on TikTok is I don't know, it's author Megan Watt or Saving Throw. Um, I've yeah, been having fun with that.
Awesome. And for everybody else who knows where to follow me, obviously Twitch, YouTube, because that's how you're watching this. TikTok as well. I'm very active on TikTok. Come say hi. Like literally, like I will literally cuss you out if you come into my live and you don't say hi. I have Instagram, but I barely use that one, and I have Threads. Don't follow me on there. That's weird. But with all that being said, everyone, I'm Taylor from Afro Fish OG. I appreciate you, Megan, being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and I will catch you all in the next one.